So let's get started. Grab a chair, grab a half round foam roller or a rolled up towel, and let's start working on getting our legs, knees, hips and shoulders, getting some juiciness going there. So come to your chair, spread your legs about hip distance apart, okay? And actually no, I'd like your legs hip distance apart. So you remember how we measured hip distance apart from these sticky outy bones, which for me is about here. So not too wide, not too narrow, hip distance apart. So come to your chair and come down on your chair for a hamstring stretch. Now what's important here is that we want to move the weight back into our heels. Don't have the weight forward, back into your heels. And you don't want the back rounded like that. If you can't get your back flat and your pelvis untucked, don't drop the ribs. Ribs stay in line. If you can't get it flat and untucked, then just build up the seat of your chair, and just here is fine too. We're going to be doing quite a few exercises on the chair, so please, we don't want any rounded backs or tucked pelvises. We need to be able to kind of tip the pelvis forward. Okay, so let's come to a nice hamstring stretch. You should be feeling a good stretch down the back of your legs. Awesome. Now take your feet further than mat distance. Again, weight back, because we want the weight off the quads and into the hamstrings. And we're just going to move from side to side. Okay, we're just moving the hips. I can turn at an angle here and show you what I'm doing. The legs are wide and we're going from side to side. Okay, really feeling a stretch through the inner thigh, through the groin area. Keep drawing the weight back. And now just hold to the one side. Are you feeling a good stretch there? And hold to the other side. Awesome. Come stand up. Grab your half round foam roller. If you have a couple of these full ones, or if you don't mind cutting it in half, you can just cut a full one in half to get the half round, because we do use this a lot. Or you can just use a rolled up towel. And we're going to come and do a calf stretch. So one foot on the half dome towards the side and step forward with the other foot, but only enough that your body is not lurching forward. So your foot may be here. For a nice low level stretch, no more than a 5 out of 10. If you can step a bit further forward, that's awesome. Okay, let's come to the other side. Foot on your half dome and step forward for a stretch. Remember, we want to keep the intensity of the stretch pretty low. Okay. And while we're here, we can do a side stretch as well. Good. Kick your half dome away, and let's come to top of the foot stretch. So you're just taking the foot behind you, and you're not stretching the top of the toes, it is the top of the foot. If this is too intense, you can do it sitting down. This is also challenging your balance. If you can still hear me okay, please just give me a thumbs up, whoever is watching live. I would really appreciate that. Good. Top of the foot stretch. And let's come back to the hamstring stretch. So really stretch through. Remember, it's important that the weight isn't forward. A lot of us do this stretch with the weight forward. I want the weight back on your heels, and you'll really feel the pull down the back of your hamstrings. Really get into that. I'm not playing any music so that you can hear me properly, but feel free to play whatever music you love in the background. Get a good stretch there. Awesome. Now take one leg, put it on the chair. Arrange your body so that your legs are still hip distance apart. We want both feet straight forward, lined up with these sticky adi bones, and we're going to lean forward for a hamstring stretch. This also really challenges your balance. Feel a good standing stretch there. Lovely. And the other side. This is a beautiful wake-up routine for your body in the morning, or just if you want a movement break. Awesome. And let's do a standing crescent stretch. So grab your wrist with your other hand, and we're going to lean over to the side. Now when we do this, make sure your hip doesn't come out, because then you're not getting the stretch. So keep your hips in line, and we're leaning over to the one side. And change hands, and over to the other side. Beautiful. So come to the back of your chair. You can move it or just come to the back of the chair. And again, I want you to come into this hamstring stretch position where the top of the back is relaxed. The pelvis is not rounded. It's nice and untucked, like you're pouring out water from a bowl. And put the top of your hands on your chair. If you can only be higher, that's perfect. Go wherever you feel is comfortable, but importantly, we don't want the back rounded. The back's got to be relaxed and released to the floor. And step back for a beautiful shoulder stretch. Okay, this is by far my most favorite stretch in the whole world. You can also do this on your desk or at the kitchen island. Importantly, we want the palms facing up to the sky so that your shoulders are externally rotated. And just release through there. Just keep letting the back release, letting the pelvis release, drawing your weight back onto your heels. And just hang out there for a bit. And you can try and do a crossover version of that now, where you're just taking the one arm and crossing it over the body. And so I've taken my right arm, I'm crossing it over, and I'm taking my right hip and I'm drawing my body towards the right to get a stretch right through the right side of my torso. And switch sides to the other side. So I'm taking my weight and I'm shifting it over to the left to feel a beautiful stretch down here. Lovely. Come up. You can reposition your chair. And let's do some calf raises. So feet hip distance apart, and we're just going up and down, up and down. I like to call these actually calf elevators because we want to try and go as vertical as possible. Try not to let your weight shift forward onto the quads and then come up. We want to just go up and down, up and down. Nice. Woo, really challenges your balance. You've got to turn on your lower core nicely here. Don't squeeze your butt. Let your butt respond as you go up and down. And you may be starting to feel a bit of a burn down the backs of your legs. But what's important here is, although our bodies are super tight from moving so little, our bodies are also not getting an opportunity to bear much weight or to be loaded much at all. So we get the most benefit when we stretch and load. In other words, work the muscles, stretch and work the muscles. Do as many of these as you can. Nice. Then come back to the chair. And this time we're going to do a bit of a quad stretch. So lift your leg and grab for your quad. Now, If there's too much distortion happening in your alignment to get to the quad, then you can take a strap to help you, a strap or rolled up towel, and just stay here. If you can get to the quad without doing too much changing of your alignment, do that. And then we're going to lean forward and come into a quad stretch. Make sure that your back is not rounded like this. You still want to extend through. Feel the quad stretch. Lovely. Come up. Let's do the other side. Grab for the leg. See if you can get a good alignment here, so we're not creating all these distortions with the body. And then we're going to lean forward. This side on me is much tighter than the other. We don't want the knee to stay here. We actually want to bend through. Don't arch the back and don't round the back. If you can only come to here, then build up your structure. That's perfect. Stretch through. Beautiful. Grab your half dome again. We're going to come into a double calf stretch. So either using a rolled up towel or your half dome structure. We've got both feet on the half dome now, and now we're hinging at the hips. So we're taking the butt back, lengthening the back of the hamstrings, hands on your chair. You can build it up with blankets, or if you can go further down, go further down. But remember, we want to keep this beautiful arch in the lower back. That is really, really, really important. And feel a lovely hamstring stretch there. Oh, what a relief. Really, really is a release. Okay, and come up. Let's move that away. And next we are going to do a pelvic lift. If you can do it on the ground, that's awesome. I would prefer if you do it on a block. However, I did not ask you to bring a block, so you can do it on the floor. If you've got a block or some books available, awesome. Otherwise, just do it on the floor. So we come into position here, and you releasing the muscles this side of the body, and then pulling up to lift the foot to the same height as the other foot. But importantly, we're not using the waist muscles to do that. So this side of my body is not pulling up to achieve this. It's the muscles over here on my butt that are contracting and releasing to lift and lower the foot. This really works your whole lateral hip musculature. Okay, let's go to the other side. So come onto your blocks. Doing it on the floor is awesome as well. If you are on the block, toes over the edge, and you can give yourself a little bit of a hinge to come forward so you can really feel it here. So as you contract these muscles, the leg moves up. It's called a pelvic lift because as I come up, my pelvis is lifting like a ship at sea. Don't let the foot touch down at the bottom. Keep it hovering. Keep it hovering. So let's change sides. Come onto your block or stack of books. So we're just kind of letting the toe rest over here. We're releasing these muscles, so that's you sticking out the hip, and then you pushing down through this leg and contracting the muscles to come up. And at the top here now, I want you to move the leg in and out. This is super, super challenging for your balance and for the muscles down the leg. Two more. Awesome. Let's do the other side. Actually, let's make it 4 more. Really feel the strength through here. Pelvic lift is quite a tricky move to get, so if you want me to troubleshoot with you, just send me a message, PM me, and let me know. It is important to kind of hinge a little bit. We want the weight really, really back into the butt so that you can feel the movement. Okay, kick away, and if you're on the floor, continue doing on the floor. Otherwise, everybody do on the floor. Same thing. You want to just kickstand the one foot, release down here, contract, and release. So you're going to contract and release. You're squeezing the muscles here. You're like pressing, your standing leg is pressing into the ground. Hold it at the top. It does help to lean forward a bit so that you're really off that quad. And if we can practice pelvic lifting all the time, that's super awesome. It's a great move to throw in. And release. And the other side, kickstand the one foot, relax the muscles, so it's now we're pressing into the standing leg. These muscles are contracting here. If you're creating a little bit of like a divot in your butt, then you are doing it right. I do need to lean my body forward a little bit to really feel this, because I have too much tension down the front of my body, as we all do. And you want to try and relax your quad. You don't want your quad pulling up too much. So let's feel for a minute what that means. Let's first do a number 4 stretch and release some of this tightness that we created here. So we're putting one leg over, heel under the knee, coming towards the edge of your chair so that your pelvis is not tucked, and we're leaning forward to stretch through the piriformis. Feels good. And let's do the other side, switch over and stretch forward. Great, now take your feet out in front of you, and I just want you to get a sense of what we mean about squeezing and releasing the quads, because this is really important, especially hopefully you'll do this flow a couple of times, and I really want you to notice the next time round whether or not your quads are tight and pulling up your kneecaps all the time. So I just want you to play here. Just squeeze and release your quads. Can you squeeze and release your quads? This is called kneecap release. So we're just squeezing and releasing, squeezing and releasing. And most of us are very quad dominant. Our quads are holding us up all the time. And this is a real problem for so many reasons, because our quads should be relaxed most of the time, and the hamstrings and the butt should be doing all the work. So try and see here if you can squeeze. Just hold your quads under your hand and see if you can squeeze and release without your butt doing the squeezing and releasing, just the quads. And then slowly but surely we want to be able to do this standing up. So if you can lean forward and squeeze and release. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Let me see. So I'm squeezing and releasing, squeezing, releasing. Yeah, you can't really see with these pants on. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release. No, it's too subtle to see. But what we really want to do when we come into the forward stretch, you want to hold your quads and make sure that they are relaxed. So if you come forward and your quads are holding you up, you can't really squeeze and release them. You want to make sure that your weight is back. So let's come to this forward stretch again, and be sure that as you're standing here, you can squeeze and release your quads. Then you know that the work is really being done by the back body, because this is super important for what we're going to do now. So you come into your hamstring stretch position, hip distance apart, okay? And now I'd like you to take one foot behind you. You may find that your weight came forward in order to do that. That's fine. But now be sure that you're taking your weight all the way back onto your heel. If your knees do hyperextend, then give me a micro bend, really a micro bend. But you want to be sure here that you can still squeeze and release your quad. And then, if this is enough work down the standing leg, stay here. If you can do some more, then I want you to lift the leg behind you. Be sure that your weight doesn't creep forward. We want to keep the weight back, 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 back. And you may be feeling a super burn down the standing leg. This is one of my favorite moves. I call this hamstring strengthen. And as you get better and stronger here, you want to dump less and less weight into the hands so that you're transferring more and more strength and load bearing down the leg. Okay, keep the weight back on the heel. Your body will want to creep forward to the quad because at the moment that's the strongest part of the body for most of us. Whew, it's burning. You also want to be sure that your pelvis is not turning out like a dog at a fire hydrant. You want to draw this right pelvis down, and you can even do a sweep across your buttocks. You want the buttocks to be the same height. And also you want to keep drawing the belly button to the center. You don't want your weight going off to the side. And relax. You can come to a little squat here. Take the weight of that. How was that? That feel good? Okay, come back up. And let's do the other side. So we're drawing our weight back. We're taking 1 foot behind us. Be sure the weight is still back. And if that's enough, stay there. We're going to lift the leg, but don't let your body fall out. Keep the belly button lining up at the midline of your body. And feel how the strength is coming on down your leg to support your body weight. Can you squeeze and release your quad? If you can squeeze and release your quad, then you are working the right muscles. Awesomeness. This is super tiring because they're just so few moves that we do that actually require our legs to hold our full body weight, and also because of the lifestyles, the things we do, the things we don't do, our bodies, our muscles are so imbalanced. We're so much stronger through the quads than anywhere else. That whenever we do come to move or exercise, we don't realize that we are so quad dominant and that the quads are ruling the world. And that is often the cause of many ailments we have, including sneeze pee. Okay, and release from here and come into a little bit of a squat. Now when you're in the squat, you want to be sure that your shins rather, are trying to get vertical and that your back is untucked. So you can take your towel, put it under your heels, and try and come to more of a position where your butt is holding you up, your shins are vertical, and you're not super rounded through your back. You want to try and get as untucked as possible through the lower back. And then lift and come down, trying to keep those shins nice and vertical. If this is too much work, you can skip this one, but this is awesome. You may want to hold onto something a little bit more stable to help you, because you don't want to bring your weight back and again push forward on the quads, which the body knows is now the strongest part. We really want the glutes and the hamstrings to be doing more work. So as you lift, I want you to draw your weight back to your butt and come up with a vertical shin. And again, try and come down with a vertical shin, so you're shifting the weight back to your butt. again, push through. You want to make sure that you're engaging your core nicely here as well, and that you aren't bearing down. Again, if you want to explore this further, feel free to reach out to me. So you want to breathe in, breathe out, really engage your core. And lift. Nice. And one more time. We're going to end with a stretch for the back. So we're going to come back, palms up. Really extend through. Relax across your upper back. If you need to do this on a higher surface, please do so. But it's very important that your back is relaxed and that your pelvis is untucked. And feel the strength and release down your legs. If they're a bit shaky, then you've done it right. And for added awesomeness, what we really want to be doing, the first time we do an exercise, it's really, really working in the muscles, and the blood flow is happening, and the body is so feeling so much awesomeness, and then we often just like, oh, stop. So if you have time, stop the video, go back to the beginning and do it again. If we only have time for once, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day.